Hey guys, this is Sid Patel, CEO of International Bulk Wine and Spirits Show and also Beverage Trade Network. Thanks for coming here. I really wanted to do a quick shout out on why this year's IBWSS show is going to be the biggest show. So this year we have some powerful speakers here. If you're really trying to level up your game, really grow your business, this is the show which you have to really attend. So pay attention to the speakers. Go and scroll this page down and you will see the speakers out there. The subject and the theme of the conference is planned around 4 pillars. We are going really deep into the business of bulk wine, bulk spirits, and private. So if you have anything to do with bulk wine, bulk spirits, and private label, buying or selling, or even getting into it, or even starting, a private label offering in your winery, this is really the show which you want to attend. More importantly, what's going to happen this year is, there are lots of movements happening around sustainability, around private label, around small batch. So everything is going to come and play here, So we're going to really have deep discussions around what other companies are doing, some big companies, how they are practicing this, how they've grown, and how new buying is happening around this national chains. Like, what is Target buying? What is their sustainability policy? What is Walmart doing, right? So this is where we really talk business of the business. So please join me at International Bulk Wine and Spirits Show on July 25th and 26th, and I look forward to seeing you all there. So great, thanks for coming here, Jon. You are one of our speakers at the International Bulk Wine and Spirits Show. So looking forward to seeing you on July 25th and 26th, where you'll be talking about, what's going on and where are the opportunities, right? You'll be talking data. So right now, really, let's give some, insight in the first quarter of this year. What's going on where you are seeing, some cut downs or some movements with recessionary climate of this industry. So over to you, Jon.
Thanks for the question. And it's so poignant. All of the clients that we are working with are asking the same kind of question. And of course, all of us in the industry are certainly watching what happens with the Fed. Are we going to have a fairly light recession in store for us the rest of the year? Is it going to be a little bit deeper? Those are all questions that are on people's minds. But I will tell you, from a beverage alcohol standpoint, especially in terms of wine, we are seeing that the inflation for wine, specifically for at-home consumption, is trending far below general inflation. So in other words, while there's been a lot of price increases for beer, that really hasn't happened in terms of wine. So wine is running, it's right around 3.5–4% in terms of inflation versus, a 6.5% for general inflation. Away from home, wine is trending higher. So wine is trending much closer to the general inflation rate. And so what this is doing, it is producing some opportunities, but also some hazards as well. And one of the hazards is for selection. So many operators are cutting back on the number of offerings that they have. However, we are seeing consumers benefit from some price dealing, and we're seeing consumers get some of that subsidization that they are always looking for, and it really helps create some of the loyalty in wine.
So I think we're coming back to some of that value category. Is that what you're saying? Like,
yes.
Got it. Opportunities. I'm sure that you say on the wine it's pretty flat. That's what I'm hearing. But spirits, I hear, is really still hot and moving. What's your take on spirits?
Yeah, spirits is interesting in that we're going to have to start looking at, and we are starting to look at spirits through 2 different lenses. You have to look at it through the lens, including ready-to-drink products, because a lot of that volume sourcing for ready-to-drink comes from spirits themselves. But then you have to also take RTDs out of the equation and look at spirits. And when we do that, we see that RTDs, especially spirits-based RTDs, are really driving the category right now. So it's driving both value and volume. However, when we take it out, we find that the business is a little closer to flat, maybe even down, depending on what time frame that you take a look at for overall spirits. So it's a watch out, but it's also something that all the spirit suppliers are paying close attention to, and either jumping into the RTD category or at least having an acknowledgement that RTD is going to affect their business.
So if you were a business, right? If you were a winery, brewery, or a distillery, not the retail, what's your take on, selling, right? So if for example, I'll give you an example. If I was that, I would for sure not extend my credit. I would go small purchase orders, but I would aim for a relationship building and repeat orders. I would not export so much because of fear of recession. What would you advise to navigate? Which are the markets and how tight you would run your ship?
I think the advice you just gave is really good. I think you have to have a short-term play as well as a long-term play right now. And I think that the short-term design is really about where we're going to see that recessionary period hit and how deep that will be. And so you have to be really careful, because you have to be careful on who you listen to, because some are kind of in that doom and gloom mode. I tend to be a little more in that soft landing mode. I'm not an economist, but that's why I would have a really good short-term strategy. But in the wine business, we really have to think about recruitment. That's really got to be job one at this particular point, because we have so many of the consumers that have been embedded in the wine business for so long. They're either getting they're getting older, or for a whole host of reasons they aren't consuming as much as they used to. So it's that recruitment strategy in the near term that's going to be very important for the wine industry, and it has to come in. It has to really make sense, especially to Gen Zs and millennials. They have to be able to make those choices their own, and I think that's where the art meets the science in terms of the business.
That's a good point. But we're seeing at the same time, on the contradictory, a lot of big brands who we sort of in one way rely on to shift the consumer, like Gallo, for example, right? They are great in actually making the shifts via sheer marketing and value plays. I think that follow the money thing is true as well, right? Like, do you advise that wineries should take this very seriously and sort of start playing with low alcohol, non-alcohol RTDs? Because still people are saying, hey, it's just a trend. I just was on a call with Ciari right now. And it's the word when people use it's just another trend. I don't think it's anymore a trend.
No, I think you're exactly right. And I think you're very right to call that out as well. While I know non-alcohol and low alcohol get pinned together a fair amount, I do think you need to make that that distinction. And here's why. Even low alcohol needs to go through the 3-tier system. Non-alcohol has a lot of other routes to market. There's a lot of other things they can be doing. And I'm not talking about just direct to consumer, but if you think about all outlets of...
Yeah, I mean, they can sell in 7-Elevens of the world, right? Like,
exactly. Yeah. The opportunities are really incredible. But what I will say about the non-alcohol, we see upwards of about 85% of the consumption of non-alcohol products happening from people that do also consume alcohol. So what this points the way to is a non-alcohol wine, for example, would be more of a sessionable product. So
one second, let me just digest that number. So people who drink alcohol are now, almost doubled to drink non-alcohol products.
85% of the non-alcohol consumption is happening from people who do drink alcohol as well.
Oh, understood. Sorry, I got it. So they are also they are shifting there as well. That's a problem.
Yes. Well, yeah, they're actually driving it. So the assumption that non-alcohol products are consumed by people who don't drink.
Correct. That's what we thought. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not at all what is happening. That's a very small percentage. And if you think about it, it makes sense, especially in terms of social media. People want to be in control. And so many of them want to be able to elongate their entertaining, or have a be able to have that sessionable experience throughout the evening. And the best way to do that is to pace themselves, but they still want to fit in socially. So that's what makes non-alcohol products so appealing to them. They can switch over to a non-alcohol product, maybe in the middle of their evening, maybe at the end of their evening, whatever might suit them, but they're still in the social experience moment. And so we're finding that that is exactly kind of the tip of the spear for the non-alcohol products to go after, is that sessionable experience.
Target or 7-Eleven or Walmart, have they increased their non-alcohol or RTD? I think I already know the answer, but I want to see the data answer rather than just a myth. Let's say, they have 100 SKUs for this entire category, and they just increased 2 more for RTD and 2 more for non-alcoholic. That means 2 less vodka and 2 less wine, right? Someone has to go out for someone else to come in. It's as simple as that. So have you seen that? Like when it happens at that level, then it's real. I mean, it's permanent, right? Shelf movements are permanent, at least for a year.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The SKU rationalization at retail is such a difficult experience. I mean, you really you're putting 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag, because you could rationalize so many different products to go to the shelf in any one given moment. And to be nimble in that particular regard is really critical. And we see retailers reacting by giving some consideration to shelf space that will let them bring in new products in the moment. And while that's difficult to do, I will tell you exactly what you were saying is what is happening. New RTD SKUs, for example, are being sourced from the places that consumers are sourcing it from. So, for example, RTDs are sourced from beer and from table wine. So those SKUs would be giving up space to RTDs. And I would tell you, we were just talking about non-alcohol. Non-alcohol also has to wedge itself into that scenario. And so that is going to really be the battleground in terms of SKU management now. And how that space gets carved out is really an incredible challenge, because you want the merchandising to be adjacent, but you don't want it to be integrated, because you're selling an alcohol or a non-alcohol product, probably, like I just said, probably to that same consumer, but you need to make the distinction of, does this contain alcohol or not?